You felt it before. That strange shift in the air when you're talking to her. Like when she suddenly pulls back, crosses her arms, and gives you that look. And in your head, you're scrambling. Did I say something wrong? Is she bored? Am I losing her? But here's the truth. She's not bored. She's testing you. Every man experiences it, but almost no one sees it happening. It's subtle, it's unspoken. But these quiet tests decide everything. How you respond determines whether she leans in or disappears forever. Would you even notice it happening? Comment below. When was the last time you felt like you were being tested but couldn't explain why? Stay until the end, because test number 5 is the most surprising, yet most common. You walk into a dim-lit coffee shop. The air smells like roasted espresso and worn leather. You spot her. She's sitting alone, flipping through her phone, latte half finished. You feel the pulse in your chest spike a little. Not fear, just anticipation. You walk over. You make a light comment about the music playing. She smiles politely, looks up, and nods. You introduce yourself. She responds, briefly, and then, silence. She sips her drink, looks back down at her phone, doesn't ask you anything, doesn't carry the conversation. And just like that, the panic starts creeping in. She's not into me. You think, I blew it. But what if I told you she was interested? That she was actually watching? Not your words, but your reaction, your energy, your sense of self. She was listening to what you didn't say, measuring something you never even realized you were broadcasting. This is what I call the invisible game. It happens in real time, in real conversations. But it's quiet, subtle, unspoken. And if you don't know it's happening, it can feel like rejection, failure, confusion. You walk away thinking it was awkward or that you just weren't her type. But 3 hours later, you're still replaying her voice in your head. This is exactly what happened to Jason. Jason met a girl at a coffee shop. Casual chat, smiles. But halfway through the conversation, she leaned back, looked out the window, didn't laugh at his joke. Jason felt the air shift. He froze, started talking faster, trying harder. And then he said something that gave her an out. Something like, "Anyway, you probably have somewhere to be." She did. And she took it. What Jason didn't know was that he just failed her first test. Not because of what he said, but because of how he folded. She wasn't disinterested. She was watching to see if he could sit in tension, if he'd stay rooted. When things got uncertain, most guys don't even realize they're being tested. But after this, you'll see everything. You'll recognize the pause in her voice, that subtle glance, that moment of space in a conversation when you feel pressure to prove yourself. That's not an accident. It's a calibration. She wants to know if you're centered, if you're grounded, if your energy collapses the moment her attention shifts. Next time you feel that rise of uncertainty, when it gets quiet, or awkward, or you feel her pull away slightly, don't flinch. Hold the silence. Let it breathe, even for just a second longer, because how you handle that space says more than any line you could ever deliver. It always starts the same way. You're sitting across from her. A date, maybe. Or a casual conversation that started to feel like it could be more. You're in that groove. The words are flowing. The laughs are landing, and there's this spark flickering between you. Then she asks something simple, almost too simple. "So, what do you do?" You answer, confidently, clearly. You even add a little humor to keep things light. And then it happens. Silence. She doesn't follow up. She just leans back, stirs her drink, and looks at you. Waiting. At first, you think she's distracted. Maybe her phone buzzed. Maybe she's lost in thought. But inside your chest, you feel that tightening, that creeping anxiety. You start thinking, did I say something wrong? Should I explain more? Should I ask her something back? You fidget. You shift in your chair. You clear your throat, reaching for words to fill the space. And without even realizing it, you just failed the first test. This is the silence trap. Women don't always test your confidence through words or direct challenges. Sometimes they test it by doing absolutely nothing at all. It's not about what you said. It's about how you handle her not reacting. She's watching closely, noticing whether you can stay centered when the spotlight fades for a moment. Whether you're comfortable enough in yourself to let silence exist without rushing to smother. Most guys, right here, start crumbling. They speed up their words. They over-explain. They start oversharing, filling the space with nervous rambling, desperately hoping she'll jump back in and rescue them. But the truth, she's not pulling away. She's leaning in silently. She wants to know if you can hold the frame. If you're confident enough to sit in that uncomfortable pause and own it. To stay calm, still, unbothered. You see, silence isn't rejection. It's bait. She wants to see if you chase her approval the second it's withheld. The guy who sits back, smiles slightly, and calmly holds her gaze? He passes, instantly. Because that man signals something far more attractive than words ever could. Emotional self-sufficiency. He doesn't need her to validate him. He doesn't fear awkwardness. He owns it. Here's the secret. The guys who pass this test, they don't try to fill the silence. They enjoy it. So next time you feel that pressure creeping in, when the words dry up and her expression goes unreadable, resist the urge to scramble. Instead, lean back slightly. Sip your drink. Hold her gaze without forcing a smile. Let the moment stretch. You'll be shocked at what happens next, because more often than not, she'd be the one to break the silence. She leaned forward, suddenly more curious, and that's when you'll know. You just passed her first gate. Most guys never even see this moment. But you're already different. There's another test, one that slips right under your radar, because it feels like flirting, like fun, like just another part of the game. But it's not. You're standing at the bar. The music's playing low enough to talk, but loud enough to feel the pulse in your chest. You're telling her about something you're passionate about, maybe your favorite book, or some side project you've been pouring your heart into. And then she smirks. She leans in, tilts her head, and with a playful glimmer in her eyes, she fires it off. Wow, you're such a nerd. It stings. Just a little. Inside, there's a flicker of doubt. Wait, was that an insult? Did I just come off lame? Should I downplay it? And here's where most guys fold. They shrink back, laugh nervously, try to prove they're not really that into it. Or worse, they get defensive. But here's the hidden truth. She isn't insulting you. She's inviting you. This is what I call the playful jab, a disguised confidence, test wrapped in sarcasm. She's not judging your passion. She's testing your ability to own it. Because nothing signals insecurity faster than abandoning your interests. The second they're questioned, she's watching to see if you can stand tall and smile anyway. Most men miss this completely. They confuse teasing for rejection, but the ones who pass, they flip it. They take the jab and throw it back with a smile. Imagine this scene. She calls you a nerd. You just grin, eyes locked on hers, and say, "Yeah, but I'm a cool nerd. You'll see." Or maybe you lean in and playfully whisper, "Careful, you're gonna fall for this nerd." You see what happens there? You don't run from the label. You embrace it. You own it. And suddenly, the whole energy shifts, because now you've passed her second test. She wasn't trying to cut you down. She was daring you to stand tall. Women instinctively throw these playful jabs to see if you can stay grounded, if you can laugh at yourself and stay unshaken. the guys who pass this test, they become unforgettable because they signal a deeper truth. They're not performing. They're not chasing approval. They are who they are, unapologetically. And that confidence, it's magnetic. So next time she teases you, whether she calls you a nerd, a dork, or anything else, don't shrink. Smile wider. Lean in. Flip it back, like you're letting her in on an inside joke. Because in that moment, you're not just flirting. You're passing her second gate. And most guys, they never even knew they were being tested. But you do now. This one happens in the quiet hours. When you're alone with your phone, scrolling, overthinking, wondering what she's doing. It starts simple. You send a message. Maybe it's funny. Maybe it's thoughtful. Maybe it's just to keep the conversation going. You press send, feeling that slight rush of dopamine. You wait, and wait. No reply. Minutes pass. Then hours. You check again. No response. But the worst part? You saw the typing bubbles. They appeared for a second, then vanished. And now your mind is spiraling. Did I say something wrong? Did she lose interest? Was it too much? Should I text again? Should I just leave it? This is the delayed response test, one of the subtlest yet most common confidence tests women use. And no, it's not always a game or manipulation. Often, it's unconscious. But it's still a test, because how you handle this moment reveals more about your emotional strength than any clever message ever could. She's watching, maybe not directly, but intuitively, to see how you handle the unknown, how you respond to uncertainty, whether you need constant reassurance or if you're secure enough to let go and wait. Most guys crumble right here. They start overthinking. They send follow-ups. They drop awkward, needy messages trying to reel her back in. But the truth? She's not necessarily ignoring you. Sometimes she's just busy, distracted, or testing the waters. Other times, she's waiting to see if you'll break, because the guy who stays cool, who doesn't flinch when she pulls back for a moment, instantly stands apart from the rest. You have to understand something. Women are instinctively drawn to emotional self-sufficiency. A man who's anchored, who doesn't get shaken by temporary distance. When you double text or show impatience, you're sending the opposite signal. You're showing that your emotions are now tied to her availability. That your sense of peace depends on her attention. And that is repellent. But the man who stays grounded, he's magnetic. Imagine this. You send the text. Hours pass. No reply. Instead of staring at your phone, you put it down. You go live your life. You hit the gym. You hang out with friends. You dive into your work. You don't check in because you're too busy being present in your own world. And when she finally replies, and she will, you respond at your pace. Calm, collected, unbothered. That right there is how you pass her third test. She noticed it. Trust me, because while most guys spiral the second she pulls back, you didn't. You stayed centered. So next time you find yourself staring at those typing dots, feeling that itch to follow up, stop. Take a breath. Don't double text. Don't chase. Match her pace. Stay rooted in your own life, because the guy who does that, he becomes the guy she can't stop thinking about. And right now, you're becoming that guy. It's funny. Sometimes the most important moments don't even happen when you're speaking to her. They happen when you think she's not watching. But trust me, she's always watching. You walk into the party. The room hums with conversation. Glasses clinking. Subtle glances exchanged across the space. You're not focused on her tonight. You're just present. Laughing with your friends, swapping stories, maybe telling a joke that gets the group leaning in. And across the room, she's there, watching you, quietly, curiously, noticing every detail. She sees how the people around you respond, whether they lean in, whether they laugh easily in your presence, Whether others, men and women alike, light up when you speak. And here's the kicker. She's not analyzing your looks or your status in this moment. She's scanning your social. Proof. Women are wired for this. It's not manipulative, it's instinct. Because the way others react to you says more about your confidence than anything you could ever say to her directly. And this is where most guys miss the mark completely. They get tunnel vision. They obsess over her. They try to impress her directly, laser focusing all their energy on her attention. But while they're busy chasing her, she's busy watching how the room reacts to them. Because here's what women know, subconsciously or not. The man who commands the respect and attention of others. The man who brings good energy wherever he goes. That man is rare, and women are drawn to rare dots, so here's the twist. You don't pass this test by trying to impress her. You pass it by forgetting she's even there. By focusing on creating a great experience for the people already in your world. By telling that story with passion. By making others laugh. By being present and engaged, not calculating and performative. She's watching from the sidelines, observing it all. And in her mind, a question begins to form. Who is this guy? That curiosity? That intrigue? It's powerful, because now she's the one seeking your attention. Most men don't realize this. They chase so hard, they never even give her the chance to wonder about them. But you're not like most men anymore. So the next time you walk into a room, whether it's a party, a dinner, or just a casual gathering, shift your focus. Don't obsess over who you can impress. Focus on making the room brighter just by being in it. Make others laugh. Share your energy freely. Because in doing that, you'll pass her fourth test without even speaking to her. And trust me, she notice. She always does. There's a test most men never see coming. It doesn't feel like a test. It feels like a gut punch. A door slamming shut. A rejection so subtle, yet so sharp, that it hits you in the one place you've been trying to protect all along, your pride. This is the mini rejection gambit. You're sitting beside her. The conversation's been flowing. There's chemistry. That spark is undeniable, and it feels like you're right on the edge of something real. And then, she shifts. She pulls back slightly, just enough for you to notice. Her voice softens, but there's an edge to it. She glances sideways and says something like, "I'm not sure I see us like that." Well, the words hit hard, even if they're wrapped in politeness. And in that split second, everything inside you tightens. Your mind starts spinning. Wait, what? Did I misread everything? Was this all in my head? Should I walk away now? Or should I try to change her mind? This is the ultimate test, because what she's really doing here is pulling the rug out from under you, just for a moment, to see how you'll handle it. She's not necessarily ending anything. She's watching what happens inside you. Will you crack? Will you beg for her validation? Will you get defensive or needy? Or will you remain unmoved? This is where most men fail. They try to salvage the moment. They scramble, offering explanations, trying to sway her back, apologizing for moving too fast. But all of that? It screams insecurity. It tells her everything she needs to know about you. That your confidence was conditional. That it only existed as long as she was playing along. And when it's tested, it crumbles. But the rare man? The man who passes this test? He does something unexpected. He smiles. Not a cocky, dismissive grin. A calm, grounded smile. A subtle nod, like he understands something deeper. He doesn't push back. He doesn't chase. He simply lets it go. He might even shift the conversation smoothly, saying something playful like, "Fair enough. We'll just have to see how the story unfolds." And then he moves on, because he knows something most men don't. Rejection isn't always the end. Sometimes it's just a mirror. She's testing your emotional resilience. She wants to see if you can handle discomfort without breaking. If you can accept her boundaries without losing your sense of self. That is magnetic dot because it signals deep, unwavering self-worth. You're not chasing her. You're not seeking to control her reaction. You're at peace with yourself. No matter what she says, and here's the craziest part. More often than not, when you pass this test, the story doesn't end here. Her curiosity grows. Because you just did what almost no. Man, can you stay rooted dot? She starts seeing you differently. She realizes you're not like the others. You're not controlled by the fear of rejection. And that makes her lean in dot, so next time you hear those words, whether it's, I don't see you that way, or I'm not sure this would work, don't. Panic dot, smile dot, let it land. And calmly change the subject without a hint of tension dot. Because in that moment, you've passed her final gate. You've shown her, and yourself, that your confidence isn't about control dot. It's about freedom. And that is something she'll never forget. So here's the truth. After all the tests, the silence, the teasing, the delayed replies, the social scams, even the rejection, you might think this entire game's about winning her. About passing every challenge, unlocking every gate, and finally earning her attention. But it's not, because these tests, they were never really about her. They were about you. They were about the man staring back at you in the mirror. You see, every single test she throws your way is asking one question beneath the surface. How does this man handle himself under pressure? That's all it's ever been dot. It's never about perfection. Never about flawless lines or the smoothest moves. It's about whether you're rooted deep enough in yourself to stay centered no matter what she does. Whether you can sit in silence without scrambling. Whether you can laugh off a playful jab without shrinking. Whether you can handle distance without grasping. Whether you can light up the room without trying to control her attention. Whether you can hear no and smile anyway. Because at the end of the day, she's not testing for tricks or tactics. She's testing for truth. And here's the part most men never realize. You don't actually need to pass these tests to win anything external. You pass them for yourself, for your own peace, your own self-respect, your own groundedness in knowing. You were never playing her game to begin with. You were simply living your life, anchored in who you are, no matter how the winds shift around you. That's the secret most men miss. Jason missed it at first, too. But months later, after enough hard lessons, he found himself sitting across from another woman, different place. Same story. The test came again, quietly at first, then sharper. But this time, he didn't flinch. He smiled through the silences. He laughed at the teasing. He didn't chase when her texts came slower. And whether or not it worked out, it didn't matter. Because when he walked away from that night, he wasn't thinking about what she thought of him. He was thinking about how proud he was of himself. That's the shift. That's real freedom dot. So here's your action step. One you can carry into every interaction from this day forward. Before you speak, before you text, before you walk toward her across the room, say this to yourself, calmly, quietly, like an oath. I am already enough. Nothing she does can change that. Because once you believe that, the tests don't feel like tests anymore. They feel like what they always were. Just moments. Moments you can enjoy, no matter where they lead. And that's the difference between the man who chases validation and the man who becomes unforgettable. Remember these 5 hidden tests. Silence trap, stay calm, playful jab, smile and flip it, delayed reply, be patient, stay busy, social proof scan, light up the room, not just her, mini rejection, smile, nod, and never chase. Save this, replay it. You'll see these tests everywhere now, because once you see them, you can't unsee them.